All right. Yeah. Sorry we got cut off there. Um, but yeah, going back to kind of your question when you originally showed me the video back. I mean, I want to say I was probably in high school or maybe
Yeah.
early years of high school. Yeah, like I said, that hard work piece or kind of that first piece where we kind of stopped the video midway. I felt had a somewhat of a pretty good grasp on just the amount of the importance of what hard work kind of gets you because I feel like in hard work like we just kind of discussed previously, it's not the cure that's gonna get you a job. Like it's not gonna always be the the ultimate, oh, he's gonna get the job or oh, he's gonna be the starter or oh, he's gonna, it's not always gonna be that case. But however, it's always gonna give you a chance. It's always gonna present you an opportunity somewhere down the line. So I felt I did understand kind of that aspect of it. I would say probably that second half of it though is like the other piece of, you know, what else is a whole village that helps you in a way of like, how he mentioned those other two receivers' names and kind of that aspect of that he felt he had to hold up his end of the bargain. Otherwise, he felt like he failed. And that's kind of that aspect and just how much that program really, took the value of what it meant to be the U. And at least I would say so far up until my point, probably until I got to maybe I'd say ACU or I would say at Mount Ida we did have somewhat of an identity of like we felt we had to hold up our end of like there was a trust because like if he felt like you could tell like if he didn't do that like he like almost felt like he just put himself like and as an outcast like and you don't want to be that guy that again, like don't you want to be that guy that does that? And you felt like again, you felt the way that he said that, and obviously he held up his end. He got them a national championship. Obviously, he won, like you said, he won at all levels in
Yeah.
high school, college, NFL, and obviously he has that. He kind of does have that same deal with the Cowboys, and kind of he always wants the best for the Cowboys, but that's besides the point. But that piece though, I won't say I probably really felt that until I got to Mount Ida and then towards some other places in my career as far as coaching as well too. But like when you can build that, and that's kind of what it is. When you can build that tradition, kind of that history, and just what it means to you and why it's important. I think that's when you can really tell, like, you're at a really special place. Because, there's some places too where it may seem like that, or it can be, you could tell when it's that or when it's like something that's just on the wall, when it's kind of shit on the wall, like some people will say,
Yeah.
and just see if it sticks. And
Yeah.
you could tell whether it's real or if it's fake. And definitely that, obviously the U they've had some pretty good teams after him, but they haven't had that same that same it hasn't been the same since then, really.
No, haven't been the same. And you can hear the passion. You know,
Exactly.
yeah, he exuberates passion, and because you take ownership.
Hmm.
A lot of people they just doing it to do it. They don't really care, man. It ain't that serious.
Yep.
You're never gonna get anywhere with that type of mentality. You have to take ownership. Like, man, I don't care nothing about this job. You know, da, da. But if you in that place or you working that job or you in that position, it might not be a position that you want to be in, but do your best, show up and show out
Hmm.
because it's building you because you're gonna always have to deal with situations like that.
Yep.
You don't want to, do something, but you doing it for a reason, and that reason is going to benefit you, and it's going to help you for the next thing. If you're always looking for a shortcut, you're going to always look for a shortcut.
Mm-hmm.
But if you know, okay, I got to show up, I got to show out, I got to do what I need to do in order to make the best out of the situation, then you're going to take that type of mentality in everything you do. You do what you got to do until you can do what you want to do.
Yep.
So he's showing passion because he care. He care what those receivers think because they handed him a championship.
Mm-hmm.
And like you say, he don't want to come up empty handed. When they look at him and like, man, we were national champions. Now y'all, you know, 1-11. You know, now y'all
Yeah.
done what old boy be saying, pitch down your leg. You
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? You
Mm-hmm.
know, yeah. So if you just doing it to do it, man, get out the way.
Mm-hmm.
Get out the way. Go somewhere else. Because if we talking football, we talking life, we talking, having a work ethic. You know, you doing the what need to be done when nobody's looking.
Yep.
Get that extra rep in, the extra set in. You know, technique, um, whatever your coach is telling you to do. Get that extra when practice is over. That extra
Yep.
workout. Because some kids are talented, and son, when you played ball, a lot of kids were talented.
Mm-hmm.
When you was in middle school, for elementary to middle school, but some fizzled out in high school
Mm-hmm.
because they try to rely on talent alone.
Yep.
They didn't put the work with the talent. They just thought that they would continue to just be able to thrive off talent. And
Mm-hmm.
others wasn't as big as they were, wasn't as strong as they were, but as they grew and got older, they caught up. And then you saw who was who.
Yep.
And it's like that. It's like that in life too. You
Mm-hmm.
always gotta do the necessary things and do more. Don't just stay at the base level.
Yeah.
Always try to strive to get better. Because when you comfortable, you stop growing. When you
Mm-hmm.
complacent, you stop growing. You gotta never be comfortable. And learn how to be comfortable even in uncomfortable situations.
Exactly.
Always, you know, uh, learn how to figure things out and work your way out of difficult situations. You know, and
Yeah.
that's how you advance.
No, yeah. And that's something that obviously kind of hit on it before, but kind of talking about a little bit about my recruit, I guess whenever I was coming up as a recruiter or being recruited. Obviously the DFW is a melting pot of talent, and you know, obviously I would say, you know, I was pretty ignorant, and I think just it was a landscape that it was just nobody. I never really studied up upon about as far as how and kind of where to or how the process of going and being in the next level to get to college. However, like you said, like the team that I was a part of or the players that we had a as far as in high school, just per se. Obviously, we didn't win a game, and it's still crazy to kind of say but we still had some talented players that probably could have at least played on a college. However, what kind of separated, I think the guys from myself and I'm was just the hard work piece. And again, being a DFW, especially too, like if you're not a part of like the Duncanvilles, South Oak Cliff, Alito, you know, now there's some other schools, to say the least, that I think are starting to build a good tradition that are probably not those kind of schools I just mentioned. But for the most part, you'll be okay if you don't play football, like you're in the DFW. And I think that's at the time, that's kind of how my school was kind of looked upon was well, I mean, these kids went 0 and 10, like they don't really take football serious anyways. Which, again, as far as from the senior standpoint of kind of when I graduated, I could understand that from a coaching standpoint, but obviously, that's not my belief on, and, obviously how I know how you felt too at that point. That's not, where I saw my football career ending was at high school.
Yeah,
Um, and I think it's crazy that sometimes, obviously how social media is nowadays. I think you know, no kid, there's no stone left unturned. Like in a sense of you could see a kid's highlight tape within seconds and kind of get an evaluation. And, obviously you can do, your homework, get your cheat, look at their transcripts and whatnot. But I would say kind of when I was coming up was kind of the tipping or like the building points of like Twitter. Now it's known as X, which almost sounds like a freaking porn site. But anyways, uh I do think it's crazy though that like I said, it was I would say at some point too it was kind of harder too uh because social media, like at least whenever I was coming up, wasn't really pushed. It was almost, if you had social media, be careful. You don't, which I mean, it is kind of, I would say, similar to what it is today. Like you don't want to post. We tell our kids even today, like, be careful of what you post and whatnot. But it was almost when I was coming up, don't even have Twitter, don't post like all that stuff. So I didn't get a Twitter until almost uh probably the middle of my senior semester, which at that point, like you're recruiting, which I didn't know. Again, I didn't know any of this stuff. If you're trying to get recruited as a senior, it's almost like, well, you better look at D3s, really. I mean, you could probably find D2s, but and if not JUCO, but which there was a couple guys at least in my class that was thinking about going JUCO, but never really pulled the trigger. But needless to say, though, um, yeah, just again, the mindset of just going after, again, just changing that mindset. Because again, even though 0 and 10, that's again abysmal. And that again, that was only my senior tape. Like I didn't have any junior film. I was on junior varsity. And then obviously had a new head coach and change going into my senior year. So not a whole lot that the head coach could probably even say to uh, a college just because if he only had a couple months to be able to know me. And, you know, I do think obviously things worked out in a pretty good situation because obviously got to go from D3 to Division 1, and like you said, seeing kind of even that jump in that landscape. There are guys too that whenever seeing them on scholarship, I was a walk on, and nowadays even at the FBS level, walk ons don't even exist, which is ridiculous because I mean I'm not too far removed from my playing career, but a lot of kids at least that I've seen coming up, I won't say a lot, but at least like 45%, so near 50. A lot of those kids that were on scholarship were just on scholarship to get their school paid for, which obviously that's respect to them. I mean, yeah, obviously you get a free education or obviously how whatever the education you're getting your education paid for to some extent, but man, a lot, especially. like you said, the town you came from, and now the town that I kind of coach at demographically, a lot of those kids now, that's not their mindset. They're trying to, get out of where they're living to go make a, whether it be, they're trying to get out of their hometown to go make a living. Which some of these kids are trying. They'll go back to their town and they'll be okay. Uh,
Yeah.
but I do think it's crazy just the mindset and how things work. And again, football definitely I think shapes a lot of that and can build a foundation upon that.
Yeah, because kind of touching on what you were saying about your journey. You know, me being your father, I knew you had what it take to play um, at an elite level. Even though I was 0-10 your senior year, and when me and you went and talked to the high school head coach, and I was telling him that I know that you can play at the next level. We started looking for schools for
Hmm.
you to play for, and you ended up going to Mount Ida, and you ended up doing great things there, and then that situation happened with the school, and you basically the school closed down,
Yep.
but you had an opportunity to join another D3 um, in Massachusetts, but you wanted to walk on at ACU, which is the
Hmm.
D1 school. And, I told you, you believe you can do it. I believe you can do it. And you ended up making the team, you know,
Hmm.
ended up being a starter. Your last game, you never played center before against
Yeah.
SEC team, Mississippi State.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. It's actually
Yeah. So,
funny.
so you played center. You played mostly guard, a little
Hmm.
tackle, right?
Yep.
But now
So
the center went down, and they needed
yep.
a center.
Hmm.
And so playing center against the SEC team, Mississippi State,
Yep.
and being able to be successful and play well. Yeah, I remember one guy I played football with and graduated with.
Hmm.
He was I saw him. It pop up on my feed. It was like right now, Bobby Eaker's son is playing against Mississippi State. You know,
Yeah.
so yeah, it was a proud moment. For me. Yeah,
Hmm.
like I said, you played well, and so that was good. And and you even had a pro day. You even had a pro day. So to even go from D3, you know, to D1, and then playing at an elite level, and then
Hmm.
having a pro day, and deciding to go into the coaching field, and even starting your coaching career off as a GA at your alma mater because your coaches believed in your um, capability of knowing how to
Yeah.
coach at a young age and knowing the game to
Hmm.
let you go. Basically go from player to GA. So that's a testament, also. You know.
Yeah. Nah, it's funny the whole centerpiece because uh my offensive line coach at the time, which he's my mentor when it comes to coaching and whatnot. Uh, it was funny because that week, or it was either that week or the week before, uh, was when I was starting to officially get like snaps at center in practice. But it's funny because uh, at least going into the week of starting versus Mississippi State, the head coach, which he's also an offensive line guy too, he talked to my offensive line coach and was like, He
Don't
played center.
before son, before you go forward,
Yeah.
um, a little about last year where he coached at, and
Oh,
he's an
from
NFL coach. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
You're
Yeah, he was in the NFL. I mean, he actually helped me too get the Bill Walsh fellowship internship at the Green Bay Packers, which he actually did I believe like 2 years before as well. So it was kind of nice to kind of follow in his footsteps in that aspect too. I mean, he's a really good guy.
we're not
Mario Gembrio.
We're not Green Bay fans.
No,
We're wearing the Green Bay because my son did an internship with him.
yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, it's even I believe yeah, it's got I mean, it's all nice too. It's got like stitched in the back acres. I think it was 2022 or yeah, 2022 I think it's the year it happened. Yep. So no, I mean that I mean NFL man, it's a sweet little deal. I mean everything. I mean it's professional. But no, it was funny though, because again, the last 2 weeks of probably that season, my senior season, was when I officially started to get like snaps at center. And he, again, like I said, the head coach at the time, which he's doing a phenomenal job at the school he's at now, he was an O line guy, and he was asking Mario. He was like, he played center at the last school he was at, right? Which I didn't play center at at Mount Ida, but Mario was like, yeah, he did. Just so it gave him some comfort in knowing that I was going to start at center versus an SEC team. But I think the last time I actually was playing center when it was probably like maybe my first or second year at Pee Wee football with the Tigers, either the Tigers or the
Tigers, yeah,
Redskins.
Tigers.
The Tigers or the Redskins, which I mean now the Commanders, but
Yeah, they were Tigers. LSU Tigers. Yeah.
yep, yep. But no, that was a funny memory that popped in my mind. But yeah, man, I mean, it was a lot that went into that going into that year too, because even obviously Mississippi State, but even the very first game we opened up against was North Texas, which
North Texas.
which that was I mean that's right up the street from where we grew up in and we live. I mean it's only it's like less than 45 minutes away.
Yeah.
Uh, and I believe well that's not it's one of the last NFL players that came out of my high school was also an alma mater there, Lance Dunbar, which he's now coach of. He's actually got into coaching as well too. But yeah, I mean that was a pretty special moment too, because I mean, again, there was a lot of like we kind of mentioned before, a lot of trials and tribulations that kind of went up into that point. Again, being a walk on, which again just staying throughout the whole summer. And we had it's funny too, we had a deal at our school we call like a quad test where you had to place, it's like we looked at our power clean, our vertical jump, our broad jump, our 40-yard dash, and then a med ball toss. And if you could get all those, it's like those five exercises, and it accumulated like a certain amount of a point system. So a good quad test, like you would be over 300, you would be over 300 points, and there were certain players that again from this head coach, his name's Adam Doral. He did it in his past throughout years, and he's had NFL guys from his D2 uh, down in northwestern Missouri. He again got NFL guys that have crushed it. I remember doing like a whole breakdown sheet of it. But anyways, those skill play like it was pretty like for skill players like tight ends, linebackers. Those guys would test pretty well. Linemen could test pretty well too, but it was hard for them to get 300. It was like only two offensive linemen that got 300 points, and I was actually one of those two guys. The other guy, he was a freak as well. He ended up playing at he ended up playing at Duke after ACU.
But yeah, I
Um,
remember the guy with the Duke.
it's funny.
Yeah.
He kind of looked like Thor. Good old
Mm.
K Parmalee.
I remember him.
Yep.
I remember when he took his helmet off. He had
Yeah.
long, blonde hair, right?
hmm
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I remember.
He was a good dude. He was a good dude.
Yeah, yeah, that was a good time, but it's all part of the process, And like I used to tell you, it's your story. You write your own story,
hmm
So let it be a bestseller, you know.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, it's definitely been a lot of stuff that obviously a lot of helping factors that have helped me get to the point, and obviously, mom, obviously, uh, brothers, sisters, obviously they've been a, you know, you guys have been a hell of a rock, and I always appreciate you guys. And like I said, I mean, I think it's helped me be able to kind of ground myself here in a place where a lot of these kids too kind of, I think do need a figure to kind of help them uproot them to, a higher calling than kind of where they're at in their life. And that's why I
Yeah,
think too I do kind of like being in the high school, you know, being in high school now compared to probably what I looked at it before, especially now I'm in college. It's such a crazy dynamic now how NIL is changing everything
yeah,
and
yeah,
recruiting. And I mean, it's again like I talked about with Mario and kind of the head coach. I mean, those guys, cared about, I think building a program.
yeah.
And now it's like again, I don't know if it's really maybe. I mean, maybe some places it is still that same feeling, but it's kind of hard for it to stay like that whenever you are constantly like. And again, I mean, obviously, we're all being like as coaches, we're all being judged on whether we win or lose. Like, yeah, we kind of get that, but like, especially at college, it's like you only got 1 or 2 years, and it's like if there's no show of like progression, or productivity, it's like everybody's gone, which it's kind of hard as a coach to really look somebody dead in the their players dead in the eye and be like, I really care about you. And maybe I'm wrong for thinking, but it's getting to that place where it's like
Getting to
it's
that point.
almost yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because with NIL, we just watched Michael Irvin, and he says the process before the prize.
hmm
Now the prize is coming before the process.
Exactly.
That's what the NIL has done because they're looking to get paid first and then put in the work.
hmm
But impressionable the impressionable youth, you give a lot of people money before you know before they matured enough to know what to do with it.
hmm
Sometimes they find themselves in bad situations. They find themselves not working as hard. And you said it earlier. Um, Sometimes you know a person only can see where they're currently at. They can't see beyond.
hmm
So that's why some people think, "Oh, this is gonna last forever. I'm always gonna be getting this type of money, or I'm always gonna do this," or they just live for the moment. So they don't end up having the hunger that they had that got them there because they already enjoying the fruits instead of
hmm
taking those necessary steps, and then, like he said, the process and the prize.
hmm Yeah. I mean, that's the thing is even just in general, you look at it from a work standpoint, it's it's very very rare cases do you see where like I'm gonna give you money before I get the service. And probably
Yeah,
like you really don't see that a whole lot. Like really in business anywhere where I'm gonna pay you where before I get what I want in return. It's more in most cases in a business transaction you'll see or like you get the product or you get the service then you pay. And
yeah, exactly.
because it's especially like when you're looking at kids like 17 to 20-year olds that like again instant gratification. They get the
Yeah,
bag, they get the money. Especially some of these kids, most of these kids actually are getting paid than some of their assistant coaches. Like it's like
yeah,
why would I
more than the
listen to
coach.
you?
Yeah, well,
Why
yeah,
yeah like
exactly.
why do I need to listen to it? Which
Yeah.
I mean
Especially
it's
now when
ridiculous.
people have a false sense of reality and they think, um, the bag is it makes you who you are.
Hmm.
You're judged more by that than who you are as a person.
Yeah.
They think you know your net worth is your worth as a person.
Hmm.
Yeah,
It's man, it's wild times. Like I said, I mean, I'm glad to kind of, you know, uh, be in a pretty good, again, everybody wants to be, somewhere where they're valued and a place where they, love to be where they're at. And I'm glad to be able to say I am. But even whenever you may be going through some struggles and whatnot, I mean, it's you always want to again, kind of like what you're saying, work to or work to where you want to get to and. Uh, like I said, like a lot of these kids too, they'll just, you know, it used to be like kind of a you go to the school for 4 or 5 years and it'd be a 40-year plan after, like what that school does for you,
yeah,
once you graduate. And I remember I know the pivot just had Nick Saban on and again it was like one of those things too whenever I was coming up, like every kid that thought they were obviously that guy or or was a college football player or D1, the prestige D1 was to be in the SEC. I mean the SEC doesn't mean none of those conferences mean anything nowadays. Like it's just i
yeah,
go i
yeah,
go to I go to wherever school pays me the most or whatever X, Y, and Z is now, like whatever
yeah,
they can offer me instead of what the school can give back to you. Like, and
yeah,
it's not like
yeah.
that anymore.
Everybody is not going to make it to the league.
Exactly.
Some of them, that's going to be the most money that they see, and then they're not going to, you know, put it away. They're not going to invest, and they're going to find themselves, having to work, and the paycheck is not going to look like what they were getting, and they're gonna
Hmm.
have to figure it out.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
then if they don't graduate, that's another factor.
Hmm. Yeah, that's another thing too, is like you start paying these, these kids and we just had one coach come in and they were talking about, obviously the first thing a lot of these kids do is buy cars. And we were talking about I don't know if you remember the name Henry Ruggs, the kid that
Yeah,
was going through.
Alabama.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
it's like
yeah.
what if some of these kids
He played with the Raiders, right?
yep.
Hmm.
It's like one of these kids do something like that. It's like, well, then what is, if it gets to a point where something happens like that with this whole NIL deal, it's like something's gonna have to, change where these kids don't get like they shouldn't be able to get money where it does, something like that. Or it's you know, like you said, they don't get their degree. Now they're stuck with a whole lot of debt on top of like, yeah, obviously they might have got scholarship money, but it's like, what if they didn't get all their school paid for? Then what? Like now you're gonna have to pay for a car, a house if some of these kids can now afford crap
Oh
like
yeah,
this. It's
exactly,
crazy.
exactly. I definitely think they should get paid because everybody else is getting paid. The
Hmm.
schools they've been caking up forever, but it just has the way that it can't be the Wild Wild West. You know,
Yeah, and that's what
yeah,
it is.
it
Yeah,
has to be
for sure.
regulated in some type of way.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
so that's where I'm at with it.
Same. Yeah, because I saw. I mean, FBS or more particularly like a P4 offensive tackle can range anywhere from like 250 to like almost a million getting paid,
Which
which that's ridiculous. I mean, that's more than some of the league minimum guys. Like that's
yeah, exactly, exactly. Yeah,
ridiculous.
well, it definitely would probably keep kids in college longer. The one, what when football is 2 years you have to play, then you can
Yeah, too. Yeah, go
you
to
can get in the
declare.
draft, declare. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Oh yeah, but no, yeah. I mean, I think we hit on some good points. Again, just talking about the aspect of working through adversity. Obviously, I know we kind of you know finagled around through some other talking points, but it's been good discussion.
yeah, yeah.
You
I
know,
enjoyed it. So,
no, yeah. I mean, like I said, that's something that I think this channel, or just, what I want to be able to do is just kind of talk and, bring some light to certain aspects, whether it be, obviously the stuff that's happened in my life or, for example, in your life and kind of what it's done, football or sports in particular, but more specifically, football has done for, um, uh, us and just kind of the way it's paid and changed in certain aspects, whether it be for the good or the better. But man, I think it's been, like I said, it's something that I enjoy and hopefully can keep on sharing some knowledge that'll help some people out there.
oh yeah, definitely, definitely,
Hmm.
yeah. And I think, like you were saying about where you landed, um, Marshall. I think it's good because you're able to mentor those kids and able to show them a different light, and also you're not coming from a 5-star athlete perspective.
Hmm.
You can talk to them about you know hardship and um, being at the bottom and
Hmm.
working your way up and trusting in yourself and believing in yourself, because if you say it out loud, most people would look at you and laugh, saying,
Hmm.
"Okay, I'm D3 and I'm gonna one day, be D1. I'm gonna walk on and I'm gonna make a D1 team, a program."
Yep.
It sounds preposterous, but
Hmm.
you was able to make that a reality. So you're able to talk to them, that kid that is struggling, that seem like he can't, get it right, and you let him know that as a junior you played JV. You only had 1 year of start. You started your senior year. So Michael Strahan it was the same. He only started
Hmm.
his senior year.
Yeah.
Michael Strahan he's a Hall of Famer.
Hmm.
You know, yeah. So it ain't it's not the equipment. It's the person that's operating it.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
yeah. So it was it's you and your drive and how you was able to overcome.
Hmm. Yeah, and that's the
So,
thing, man. It's crazy. Speaking of which, some of these kids think that like, you played in the NFL. I was like, no, I did not play in the NFL. But it is, that's the thing that I think I enjoy about being around kids is like, obviously I was not to say that these kids are that much older than some of these college kids. But I mean, nowadays it is kind of almost that way because some of these kids that are in college are almost like 25, like they're almost around my age.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. 25. Yep.
but yeah, it's just being around a kid is just some things you don't know. You think you look at which I was a pretty decent sized offensive lineman. However, that's that for high school kids, that's almost like ginormous. But
Yeah,
in reality, like being 6'2", 6'3", in my playing weight, I was like 285. That's almost Jason Kelsey. Like that's practically his size, and he's
yeah,
undersized offensive lineman. So
yeah,
just giving these kids perspective, and especially too, a lot of these kids around, in East Texas, and especially here at Marshall, they grow up a lot faster, but they still, at the end of the day, they're still kids. And
still
given
kids. Yeah,
giving them good perspective. Some of these kids obviously which some of them don't see themselves being college football players, which that's completely fine, but just still giving them tools that will propel them beyond football. And I think that's what the coaches that helped me um in my journey, and that's what I want to be able to do for, these kids as well too. And I mean that's something that you obviously kind of have done for, all of us and, our family. It's been a great, thing to be able to give back to, these
oh
kids
yeah,
here.
yeah, yeah. Football is the gift that keeps on giving.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Just like Christmas,
yeah.
just
I
like
mean,
Christmas.
I haven't played football in a long time. But what I learned in practice and what I learned playing and just going through, you know, days of working and the camaraderie that you gain with your teammates. I was a military guy also,
Mm-hmm.
and being in going from playing football and going into the military wasn't as hard for me because I already gained discipline and gained teamwork, uh, learned the aspect of teamwork in football because the high school I came from, it was 6A. We was a powerhouse, Valley, Alabama. We turned out, a lot of, college and pro football players. So it was serious. It was very serious. Uh, no messing around in practice. Everywhere you couldn't walk to anywhere on the field.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to get some water, you run. You're going from one drill to the next, you run. So everything you had to beat feet to get to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and this is before you know all the knowledge that they have now of training and things like that. We just did power movements mostly in the weight
Yeah.
room. That was serious business too. The
Mm-hmm.
weight room. You know, so all that just helped me throughout life, and it continues to help me.
Yeah. No, yeah. That's one thing too is we lift our kids here. I mean, that's why I think too we're able to be so physically dominant is just because we're stronger than a lot of these. We out muscle and out power a lot of the team. We lift. I mean, which is crazy. I think whenever I was coming up in our off season, we only lifted maybe four, sometimes three times a week. We lift we lift five times a week here.
That's good.
So
That's
yeah,
good.
they
Yeah.
hit it and they do a good job, man. I mean, one of our freshmen is actually he's going to be a pretty strong freshman. He's already showing some pretty good gains, and that's again that's the whole point of why you lift. I mean, you start from a baseline and you just keep on gradually building, and that's I
Yeah.
mean, it's just like anything in life, you keep on doing that, you'll just make yourself stronger
Yeah.
overall.
hmm Yeah. Oh, that's that. That's right, son. So I think we a good episode.
Yeah, it's some good stuff. I think I'm gonna end it here. Like I said, if you guys appreciated this or would like more of this, like, comment, subscribe. We'll bring some more of this content to you guys. All right. Thank you.